Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On Point EDC. Today we have some really cool knives for you from Serge Panchenko of Serge Knives. Now, if you don't know about Serge Knives, or Serge Panchenko for that matter, just so you guys know, he's pretty much been a staple of the knife community for many years. He's really known for his rugged aesthetic, customs, as well as some really popular factory/production collaborations with the likes of brands like Boker, Fox Knives, and even Spyderco. Now, this particular knife that we have here is a modern slip joint, and some key common characteristics in design language when you're looking for a modern slip joint is you're going to want that, of course, that traditional non-locking two-handed opening knife, just with modern build and materials, which I think these do a great job of. Now, these are known as his slip joint, but these are actually a production version of them. It's available in a Cleaver, a Persian, and a Wharncliffe blade, and essentially you will have a bunch of other different choices when it comes to the handle scales. These are actually made in the same factory in China that Boker uses for the Lancer, and essentially they are a nicely made modern slip joint, but with classic styling. I think really that addition of the clip and the materials combined with the finish are what make these truly modern. Now, with these handle options, they will include, of course, stonewashed titanium, anodized blue titanium, orange G10, and black G10. These are going to go for $135 for the G10 and $150 for the titanium, which is actually a pretty outstanding deal considering that these actually use Bowler M390 super stainless steel. So with all that said, let's go ahead and take a closer look. All right, guys, now before we jump into this customary wristwatch check, as you can see here, Serge Panchenko is known for these bad boys, but he's also venturing off into the world of watches, which leads me to the model that you're seeing on your wrist here, which is his Model 1. Really cool kind of detail here is that this is actually a modular bezel. It doesn't hold the crystal in place, so you can actually remove this and switch it out with other materials, just like you would for a custom knife. So when it comes to like Damascus or carbon fiber, any type of anodization, bronze, brass, different types of patinas. The cool thing is you will actually be able to apply that same thought process to customizing your watch, which I think is really great. Obviously, it also carries over the very rugged design and finishing, as you can see with the stone-washed finish, which is honestly something I've always wondered, like why that hasn't been carried over into the watch world, because it's such a durable and rugged finish that it's never going to show wear, just like it's not going to show wear on this beautiful little knife here. Wow, check that out, guys. So we'll start here. Okay, so essentially, just so you guys know, these should be arriving from the manufacturer within probably the next 1 to 2 weeks, depending on when you watch this video. So these are going to be available relatively soon. Now, these are all a full flat grind, essentially, and then they're all stone washed and very sharp out of box. These handles, when you are getting the titanium handle, of course, is going to be 6A. L4V, which is technically like a grade 5 titanium. You're going to get it, of course, stone washed, or there's a textured G10 option here that's also very nice and quite grippy in comparison. Although these aren't slick, this is a very rough stone wash, not a polished stone wash, so you actually are getting quite a bit of grip on here. And man, these things are really, really beautiful, guys. I can't stress to you enough, really, just the quality of the finish and the feel on these. That beautiful spine there, the back lock, essentially. It's just, although it's non-locking, you do get a really nice solid half stop there, so quite traditional from that terms. When you think about size comparisons, probably the best thing I could compare to from the channel is this little VSA number here, slip joint as well. You don't get the half stop, but as you can see, when you compare, of course, much stronger detent there, which is actually really nice and refreshing. Very similar in size when you look at that. So the Pioneer, or it's not Pioneer, but Swiss Army one, which is essentially just the blade. You know, in comparison here, of course, much more premium build and whatnot on this model, and materials, you know, when it comes to the steel, the handles, whatnot. But as far as size goes, very similar. So this is something you would typically just drop in your pocket, right? Because it's so small and slim and whatnot, two-handed open. But here you're actually getting a very usable pocket clip, which is great. Oh, you can see that actually cracked my nail a little bit. That's how strong the detent is. So really nice. I mean, it's a great looking blade when you just consider it just on the show side, and then it's also signed really nicely, beautifully finished. You can see with the blue anodization, really nice. This Persian blade is quite handsome. A little bit shorter in comparison to the other models, but still very, very good looking. We'll even close it for you so you can get a look at these closed. And then this cleaver is just a ton of fun. Look at this guy. I mean, that's just a fun little blade, man. This thing is going to be great, obviously, for when you look at the tip here. Look at that. The shape, still nice and thin behind the edge, but you've got a nice bit of backing and kind of meat behind there. So it's going to be a very strong tip, which is going to be great. But I mean, you could do some really nice draw cuts with here, some nice chops. So this is, look at that, the half stop, very, very nice, super solid, guys. Look at these things, they're just a lot of fun. So let's go over some more of the specs here. So these basically overall length are going to be around 6.5 inches overall. Of course, there will be some variance because the different blades can be different lengths. Essentially, the blade length is going to be about 3.75 inches. The closed length, or just for the handle itself, is going to be 3.6 inches. And then you put that together and it's, you know, overall it's going to be that 6.5 with some variance. The weight is also going to vary. It can be anywhere from, you know, 1.6 to about 2 ounces. So, you know, of course the G10 is going to be lighter overall. And one thing also to note about the Cleaver is that because it is a little bit, you know, it has that little bit of meat there to grab, you don't need the nail nick. Not that you really need the nail nick here, but these are nested a little bit closer, so it's nice. Not that you necessarily have to use your nail, but it's nice to have a little bit of extra purchase in there, especially with how strong these detents are. And then we'll reopen this. But as you can see, guys, that locking bar there, really nice. And then of course that finish, just very smooth, very well done. You know, I can feel that it's not completely flush, but again, you have to remember that these are, you know, this isn't the traditional kind of pin together type of knife where you're going to take extra finishing after everything's together and blend everything. These are actually built to just some pretty nice tolerances in general, and I mean are really quite handsome just kind of by their own right. In-hand ergonomics are very, very nice, guys. You know, you can get a nice grasp on it, of course, and you do get a little bit of security considering that there is a half stop there, so you don't have to worry about that too much from that standpoint. And of course, you could reinforce the lock with your thumb so that if this wanted to actually budge, you would be holding this down so it wouldn't be able to go. So you do have some control over that. You know, if you're worried about these types of knives biting you, you know, most people will start out with a non-locking knife to kind of learn to respect the knife a little bit more. But I feel like, you know, this day and age, a lot of people are probably starting off with locking knives at this point. So this might be a backwards motion for some collectors, you know, and feeling like, hey, well, I would want a locking knife. But again, for the price, guys, you know, you're talking full titanium, beautiful stonewash, your choice of blade shape. You know, you're getting M390, which is pretty much a darling steel, you know, within the community. This is a very, very compelling package. Then you get a clip also, right? I mean, that's not something you're going to get on something like a modern traditional Benchmade, you know, slip joint. So this is something that I think adds a huge amount of value, and it's not really very disruptive, even on the orange, right, where it has the highest amount of contrast. It's not disruptive to the design. It actually looks quite good, and as you can see, it has a nice little amount of play there, nice little springiness to it. And then, although it's not like a super deep carry clip, it's a small knife, so you don't really need to be that deep of a carry. And the nice thing is it gives you a little bit of purchase to draw the knife from your pocket. So yeah, oh man, I'm kind of obsessed with how good the half stop is on these. I mean, it's just in there, man. So we'll get the half stop crew going here, just because I'm that impressed with just how good these half stops are. So really nice, guys. I'm impressed, and hey, I'm really glad that soon I'll be sharing this watch with you guys. But when it comes to these guys in hand, really nice ergonomics. They feel the hand really nice and natural. You do have a very smooth and fast open and close. Of course, when you're moving past each stop, inside you're going to get bronze pivot washers. That traditional half stop does add a nice feeling of safety and security. And of course, the fact that you can really just hunker down on that bar so that it won't close all the way on you. Even if you do get the half stop, let's say, you just get a little bit of extra kind of security feeling, which is great. In pocket, of course, I mean, look at these guys. I mean, they're gonna lay really flat, quite unobtrusive. You might get a little bit because of the texturing on the G10. That's gonna, they don't have a smoothed out part where the clip meets, so this is gonna really grip your pocket, which is a good thing, right? But it might, of course, it's gonna, depending on the material, could kind of tear it up over time, or just make it a little bit harder, and you just have to be a little bit more deliberate when you're slipping it in and out of your pocket. But when it comes to handling a knife, being deliberate isn't necessarily ever a bad thing. And then again, guys, with all the different model variants, between the blade shapes and the handle material options, there essentially will be 6 different variations available. You can mix and match these, and basically there's 6 different unique combinations that are going to come out of it. This is probably one of my favorite, because man, look at it's just got that great monotone just beauty that it blends. It looks tough, rugged, but also extremely capable with that beautiful full flat grind. M390 blade steel, grade 5 titanium, including the clip, which is just mind-blowing for the price. I'm very surprised by this. As far as comparable models go, there's a lot of competition on the market. Actually, let me just move these guys just so this will focus a little bit better. Okay. Because I do want you guys to understand the beauty in design that's here, because this is absolutely just a handsome. I mean, at the end of the day, carrying a pocket knife can be a little bit of man candy in general, and it's not necessarily some huge 100% function. I mean, the most your life of your knife is going to be folded in your pocket, and unless you're Wolverine, and even Wolverine didn't walk around with his claws out all the time, right? So let's face it, guys, a lot of the times it's going to be sitting there just looking good and being a piece of quality gear that you can have on hand to kind of admire from time to time. And Serge Panchenko obviously is an amazing designer. He has a fantastic aesthetic, and I think it really shines through these pieces. They really do have such a really cool custom vibe to them. I really dig that. Comparable options, there's a lot of competition within this space, guys. Modern traditionals and just modern slip joints in general have become very, very huge. But when you think about something that stands out, I think these are kind of standouts of within that space because of the design aesthetic, that signature design aesthetic, right? It looks like a Serge Panchenko knife. The specs, honestly, at this price, they could have went with N690 and got away with it and probably sold them out. But this is M390. So, I mean, just the other end of the spectrum. I mean, it's just really nice. They didn't skimp out by any means. And I mean, the only reason why there's, a cheaper G10 option is because some people prefer G10. It's not because they wanted to save money. it's because, hey, you know, some people might want to carry this as more of a really lightweight kind of functional piece, right? Versus maybe a piece of, you know, kind of pocket art that you might carry if you're gonna pick up like an anodized model with a Persian blade, right? So these are just absolutely beautiful, guys. I can't get over how nice they are. The action, the finishing. Really appreciate you know, Serge giving me a chance to take a look at these and review these. I actually had to go pick these up from the one and only Nick Shabazz himself. So I'm sure if you haven't already, you'll be seeing the full reviews also on his channel, also for the watch, and another model watch as well, and like another combination. But I'm really digging these guys, really great. I'd say bottom line, again, at this price point, guys, this is packing a lot of punch. Could have got away with N690, but we're getting M390 instead, and it should still obviously sell like hotcakes. You can just tell that there's a really high level of care within the production and development of this particular set of knives and their options. I mean, just it's nice to look at a product and not think, well, how could it be better, right? Like, so much of this is just exactly what I like, and that's kind of a rare thing, especially with how saturated the market is with knives like these. So again, it's extremely reassuring and telling that the maker just wants to put out a badass product and isn't, you know, building around the bottom line, right? So Serge, he just wants to make a kick-ass knife, and that's what he produced. He didn't think, well, within this price point, I can do this, I can do that, comparable this, comparable that. No, he's just like, hey, people who know about my knives are gonna get a kick out of this, and if you don't know about his knives and you see something like this, it's still clear enough that there's an absolute value proposition there, even if you don't even recognize the illustrious name of Serge Panchenko and his knife company. So with that said, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe for more content just like this.